that is the difference. Also, those countries, they score lower in terms of the corruption index. If you look at Transparency International's index, you won't see the Scandinavians up there. They're the ones who, you know, in terms of leading in the corruption Olympics, which is not an Olympic you want to lead in, but never mind, you won't see the countries led by women there. So basically, to me, that's the kind of difference, and that's why it matters that you have women in leadership. Please note that I'm not saying that women are naturally like this. What I am saying is that women are socialized to care about others, that they're taught to do that. And, you know, as a daughter, you're the one who has to do the cleaning, you have to do the cooking before you do your homework, isn't it? Isn't you? Huh? And that is actually not a bad thing. That's something that our society could use. It would work very well if other people had to think, if everybody had to think about others. We would produce a better society. And that this is something that is valuable and that it is something that we want to teach our children, boys and girls, and bring into our communities. So, to me, that's the kind of difference that women can bring. They don't necessarily automatically bring it. I'm sorry to say, I can say with the greatest respect, that there are many women who go into leadership and are not honest. They're not clean, so it's not a natural thing. They, you know, but it is something that we have the opportunity to bring into leadership, and I would like to see us do and bring into leadership. So, what can we do to ensure that women's leadership makes a difference? I think that some of the things that we can do and some of the kind of things that are happening here. First of all, it's to work together as a community to ensure that we are producing the kind of leadership that we want, that we are instilling those kind of values through programs like Akili Dada. One of the programs that I worked with was the African Women's Leadership. Sophie knows. Getting old. The African Women's Leadership Institute, which happens every year. Now that happens at a regional level. I am so happy and so proud that Kenyan women, you're working with other women, and thank you very much, to ensure that we have this at the national level, and that we're having it, that we're getting to girls, that we're not waiting until they become women to have these opportunities. Because I'm sure Agnes will share with you, for us, for some of us, in terms of our lives, these kind of opportunities weren't available. But it's important also for people who are already in positions of leadership for us to provide the right kind of training. But we also need to have policies and laws in place that will also encourage people to do the right things. We need to have a way to make sure that if people step outside of those boundaries, then they still are being made to come back in line with the values that we believe in. So I have been asked to talk a little bit about the Constitution, and I'm going to talk very little about the Constitution. I'm going to say that as a generation, you have opportunities that no generation of other Kenyan women has ever had before you. In the 1960s, in 1962, when the first constitution that we had, the old one, when it was being written, there was only one woman who went to that conference. Her name was Priscilla Wawo. She was the only woman in the LegCo. You know what the LegCo was? The Legislative Council, yeah? That was the parliament that we had. African people were not allowed to be in the LegCo. We had very few African people. They came in through affirmative action. Actually, not through affirmative action, through nominated seats. Yeah? So all the men, the late President Kenyatta, all those men, they got into parliament because they were nominated into parliament. Because somebody decided that you can't have a country where most of the population is African and yet they're not allowed to sit in parliament. So when people tell you that as African women you need, why do you want special help? Everybody has always had special help to get into parliament. It didn't just start with us, okay? So there was a quota, there were some seats. One of those people was an African woman. She was called Priscilla Wawo. So it's the LegCo that went to England for the Constitutional Conference, yeah? And because there was only one woman who was in the LegCo, that was an African woman, she was the only person that had a chance to be there. When she got there, they didn't allow her to speak. Okay?
Yeah.
She had something called the Memorandum of African Women. That a memorandum is one of the most eloquent, it is one of the most articulate documents in the history of this country. And I urge every single one of you, every single Kenyan should go and look at Priscilla Abwao's memorandum to the Constitutional Conference, Memorandum of the African Women. There is nothing that Priscilla Abwao asked for in that year and at that time that we weren't still asking for in 2009. It was forward-looking. She said that it was shameful for there to be a population that wasn't allowed to own property. We didn't have equal rights to own property until 2010 when we got the new constitution. We didn't have a constitution that expressly said that it was wrong to discriminate against somebody on the basis of their sex. Expressly. And didn't say, but in relation to this, you know, first of all, until 1997, we didn't have sex as a prohibited ground of discrimination in our constitution. And we included it in 1997, and then we still left inside the bit that said, but in this area you can discriminate. And what was the area? Matters of marriage, devolution of property, that's inheritance, adoption, divorce. What are the areas that affect a woman's life most?
So what was it?
So really, you had been given something with one hand, but it had been taken away with the other. Yeah? So, under the Constitution today, you can't discriminate on the basis of sex. Not only can you not discriminate on the basis of sex, there's several areas where you're not allowed to discriminate that relate directly to women. You can't discriminate against somebody on the basis of pregnancy. So you are the first generation of Kenyan women who, if you go for a job and you're interviewed, and afterwards you're asked, which was a standard question for my mother's generation, oh, but madam, you know, you look very young, you know, are you married? And then, you know, they were trained to be very nice young ladies, so they said, yes, I'm married. Okay, have you had the babies yet? And then at that point in time, there was something called gratuity that came in. You weren't going to be pensionable. Because you might go off and want to have the babies. So men who were my mom's age mates, they had pensions when they retired. My mother got some gratuity because she was always on a contract, even though she worked for the government of Kenya in the same area for over 30 years. Started at the age of 18, retired and got a little bit of gratuity. That's how it worked. Yeah? Your generation can take the government of Kenya to court for that. That's the difference. You can't be discriminated against on the basis of health. So if you've got some medical condition, and I think today, because we have HIV, and this is the reality of our time, you cannot be discriminated against on the basis of a condition of health. Yeah? You cannot, and if you belong to a group of people, you cannot be discriminated against because of your dress. So if you like to wear your clothes this short, it's actually okay under the Constitution. I know the religious leaders are not happy with what Mtume wants to say today. But actually, he was speaking within the lines of the Constitution, and maybe the teachers won't like that I'm saying this. You can't be discriminated against. Also, if like me, you prefer your clothes up to there, because you know in France today, if you want to wear your dress this long and put something on your head, you might not be allowed to go into school. On the other hand, this fight might have been very different if it was happening in France. So, you can't be this. Why does that matter for women? Because we have people who wake up some days and decide women should not wear trousers. And then they strip you naked. And you know, and you are minding your own business, getting onto a matatu, about to go and contribute towards the country's economy. But somebody's concerned about the fact that you're wearing trousers for reasons best known to himself. So, so this matters. Yeah? You cannot, so you know, these are just some of the people who head parastatals are men, where almost all our judges, actually all the judges in our Court of Appeal were men. Yeah, which was the highest court in the land because Justice Watch had gotten appointed to the ICC. So we ended up with, you know, very happy for Justice Watch. It's great. Shows you the caliber of women who produce. When they actually get there, the world thinks they're great. But, you know, we didn't fill that position with another woman. Instead, we went for the same old, same old. You know, so we can never have any institution looking like that. We can't have a cabinet that's all male again. So what does that mean? That we have lots of jobs that are going to be opening up, and we need women for those jobs. And we don't just want any kind of woman going in there. We want women of excellence. So you are a generation of women that have a chance. The girls that are in this room today, you're the ones that are going to prove, without a doubt, that with you in leadership, Kenya can be a completely different country. I expect that if I roll over in my grave, in another 40 years, thanks to you and the kind of opportunities that have been created by Priscilla Wao and the women that went before her, Mekati Lili, and Siotune, who is the one who told us that there was a snake coming, that was a woman, it was a prophetess. And Mora, all those women, their lives were not in vain. Okay? That Nyanjiru, when she was shot on the stairs outside the Norfolk, her life was not in vain. You're the generation that they were doing all of this for. Do you understand? So you have a chance to give something to the world, not just Kenya. Because a functioning country makes a difference for the world. Other people don't have to send poor Nelson Mandela, an old man, ill. His wife had to come and spend how many months of the year helping us to sort out problems between ourselves. You know, you're the ones who are going to instead be sending other people to other people and making sure that we actually one day have a world where nobody has to be sent to go and take care of those problems. That's what you do. So I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been an honor speaking with you, and I'm looking forward to lots of women who are going to be women of eminence. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.